said unable to connect. So let's hope it's not glitchy and that it works out. I get stage fright before the live streams. I'll be fine up until mostly like right before now, and then I just get so nervous and like shaky even, but it's fine. I was just doing comments from the other live streams. Really appreciate the comments. So here we are. I just need a sec to like calm down, and I just when I got my nervousness, I was putting all this pressure on myself, and because I got such nice comments, I started to put pressure on myself for this one, I think, and started worrying that I'm not going to make any sense and it's not gonna be good or whatever. But it's not about that. We're not here trying to be good. We're here trying to be real. So this is the realness, and it's just a lot happened over the weekend. It's just funny because the last live stream, I had no idea what I was in for, because I ended it with saying like I'm going out of town with my dad and my sister, like it'll be good. That'll be a good distraction to get away from the chaos that was kind of going on with my mom's side of the family. Like I was talking about un-enmeshing from that side of the family, and then I'm like, this is gonna be so chill and whatnot. But there's been like, it's just all my relationships are coming to a head at this point where it's just it just could no longer be. I did enjoy most of the whole weekend, but then again, it was uncomfortable because I was conforming. I was kind of not, I just, the anxiety, I just like couldn't, I was not capable of being my just calm, chill, full self. Like I just don't feel comfortable around these. I just, guys, like I just never really felt a part of my family. I just really felt like I didn't fit in with anyone. And there was like varying degrees of like emotional immaturity and stuff, and then I became very emotionally immature myself, and like there's a spectrum to it. So I just don't want, I'm not at all painting out these people to be like bad people at all, or that they are like so mistreating me or whatever. It's like I've been for so many years continuing to make myself more small, or to tread so lightly to not like disrupt the peace. But I was getting confused because I was like, what is like expecting someone else to change, like trying to control their behavior? Like what's the difference between that and I guess being myself and standing up for my own self? And like I was trying, like I try to also like meet people where they're at, and realize that it's not worth it to have more spats than need be. But I was like trying so hard to not piss people off, but some people are just temperamental, and I I don't want to like say anything negative about anyone, but it's what I did want to express this time too is, first of all, I'm choosing not to care what anyone thinks, but I want to express why I'm talking about this publicly online. And it's, for one thing, it's because it's such a big part of my life. And I feel like I wouldn't post anything. And if I didn't talk about what's actively fully going on, like I don't have really any ideas for any other content or anything, and I want to express, make videos, like talk about my realizations because it can resonate with other people. And well, sorry, my neighbor's gonna be, I guess, mowing their lawn or weed whacking, so we're gonna have to deal with that sound. I hope it's not too annoying, but what helped me get to this point was YouTubers, was people on Reddit, it was not my last therapist, I can tell you that. In that space, I facilitated what I was learning from these YouTube videos, from books, like audiobooks. Someone I really like is Dr. Ramani, I think it is. She's like a specialist on narcissism, and most of her videos have to do with narcissistic stuff and patterns. And I know that word has just such a bad negative connotation, and it does, like, no one wants to be called narcissistic or whatever, or narcissist, but excuse me, I have had my own narcissistic traits within my own self. I don't believe myself to be a full-on-fledged narcissist. Like, I saw a video the other day where it's like, if you question if you yourself are a narcissist or not, like, you would not be a narcissist. Although I do follow these self-aware narcissists, self-proclaimed, like, diagnosed with narcissistic personality disorder. Maybe some of them are kind of self-diagnosed, but like there's like aware narcissists now that are trying to heal and be aware of it. But most narcissistic types of people will not possess that awareness. Like, they will not be able to ever even consider that they could be narcissistic at all by any means. Like, they very much feel like they are doing absolutely nothing wrong. Like, everyone else is literally the problem. But like, I come on here being like, I'm having these issues with these different relationships or whatever, and then if people want to think that I'm the narcissist, they can, and it's fine. But like, I have this thing where, I try to control other people's perception of me, or just like, it's this also over explaining. Like, I think of like what people could accuse me of and that's why I will just ramble, and it gets really confusing, is because I'm having these like little chemical reactions in my brain that it's the hypervigilance to like to explain myself, to defend myself all the time. And well, when you've dealt with narcissistic person or narcissistic people throughout your life, or from a young age, you are always on the defense mode. And there is a high risk, though, to become a narcissist yourself. Like, it seems like it kind of goes two different ways, where you're either really overly empathic to not a healthy degree at all, like, you continue to be manipulated and controlled by narcissists, or you become a narcissist yourself. Or I think there can be a mix of the two. So I was very much this just really passive, conforming person with everyone else except my now fiance. I know I don't have a ring. We don't do things in an organized way. Our plan is to go to Vegas and like pick out wedding rings right before we get married and stuff. So, and that was already a neurotic like need to explain. Like, I thought of, oh, if I mention I have a fiance, and then like people are going to be watching the video and being like, oh, you don't have a ring, and so how are you engaged, or like officially or whatever. Like, I had a lady at the public pool be like, you have to be, and this was forever ago, because I was just talking about, she meant so well, but she's like, when are you getting married? And she was from, I think it was somewhere in India or near India or something. And she was so sweet, but she was just like, you have to have the ring together. Like, when are you gonna get married? And when are you? Yeah. Anyways, so you don't actually have to have an engagement ring to be engaged. That was a whole tangent that had that's where we went. I don't even, now I'm gonna lose my whole train of thought. And then I'm gonna be perfectionistic about it, and like my brain's gonna want to beat myself up over it. But I guess I was just talking about these levels. Oh yeah, so like I was, when I've mentioned many times that I was diagnosed with borderline personality disorder. I do actually want, I've had new realizations about that, and I want to do a video denouncing my diagnosis, because for one thing, I don't feel like I would be diagnosed today, but nothing against anyone either that is experiencing that, or like I just have this thing now where what I'm saying, I feel like already like, oh, am I being rude by like denouncing that I was diagnosed, and like how are people going to affected who do have it, and like do they think that I'm like looking down upon them, that I'm like, yeah, I don't have it, I wouldn't be diagnosable today. Like this is the problem that this is why I'm going no contact with my family, that like even if they aren't really necessarily actively doing, they do stuff when I realize, like when I defend myself now, like, so I was talking about like the spectrum of narcissistic traits and stuff like that, and like we're gonna just totally jumble all over the place because that's just what my brain does. Like I do want to go back to me and my relationship, and me having like narcissistic traits in my relationship, but like it's emotional immaturity too, right? So like what I have realized too, though, it's like you don't have to be like getting severely, excuse me, like abused and just totally tormented or whatever to like go no contact. Nothing has to even happen. I just, at this point, it was uncomfortable when I was with my dad and my sister, and I just was kind of keeping the peace, just like kind of, I was addressing some things. Like I just asked my sister a question, and she kind of got defensive because I know why. Like I was that way. Like I was that way with with my fiance, like the hypervigilance, like you feel like you're being attacked, like the person is like literally just asking you a question, but your perception is actually that they are attacking you in some way even. So it feels so real. And but I know in that moment, especially because I was like meticulously trying to not be met with any coldness or whatever, that I'm just sensitive. I'm just a sensitive person. It affects me. And there's just like been unresolved things in these relationships from the past that never fully got resolved, that I don't feel like I can trust these people. I don't feel comfortable. I don't feel emotionally safe with them. Like I'm in my own little bubble of like just constant body anxiety sometimes, and like doing my breathing, and like, okay, like I'm in it alone in a way, which no matter what, I'm kind of like, I have to have my own back no matter what. But these are people that I don't feel comfortable. They do know about my mental health stuff, and it's gotten way better with understanding it and being able to try to support me, or try to support me. But like I would not call them at all at this point to confide in at all. So I'm just sort of managing my own stuff and just trying to not let it take over. But I get to a certain point where, and I just want to have my own dignity, and like there's no reason to be spoken to when I'm just asking, like, have you seen this thing? I just thought it might be in your, like, have you? And then so it just immediately got like it just got like so tense, like, and a bit dramatic, like for no reason, from that one question. And I just, like, my nervous system has a hard time dealing with things like that. And it wasn't happening that often as much, really, because I was planning these things. So like before I actually asked her the question, I already had a check-in with myself in a way where it was like, just try to be neutral, like calm, like how to approach it. Like I had a feeling that she might snap over that. I felt like an imposition just asking, even if she doesn't snap at all for what I worry that she's going to snap about. there's just a distrust there. There's just like a, like a egg, be on eggshells type of feeling, right? And it comes from childhood. Our mother was times 100 with that shit. So nothing against my sister, and I have been the exact same way myself with for me it's different. I more so go into the fawn response, like placating, like making myself beneath a nervous system response, usually when I'm with everyone else. Like that's my go-to, and hers, like it's the fight, flight, freeze, right? So hers is maybe more get defensive in a way. And so usually I would just like ignore, and other things I think I was kind of just not addressing, like it's choose your battles, not worth it. But I was a little bit like, hey, it's unnecessary, like you don't have to. I was just asking you a question, like, and she's like, you were being rude, you had a tone or whatever. And I was like, I just disagreed, and then that was that. But later on, just something else happened that irked me, where I just felt like our personalities just don't click, and I didn't know what to do besides I just couldn't. I didn't want to like just shove it down and just interact like everything's just totally okay. I just wanted, honestly, just physical space from this person. Like I didn't want to cause trouble or drama by then obviously clearly like it being obvious that something was wrong, that I was upset, that, and then I didn't want it to be seen as like me being really petty and immature, that I was like not talking, and like that I'm throwing like I didn't know, I don't know the line, like I said a lot earlier about like where am I to express how I feel, and like is that trying to get these people to, like, I'm trying to accept them as they are. I'm trying to accept and just control my own behavior, because that's the healthy thing to do. So I guess I was doing that by taking my own emotional space, and I did like address when it was known that I was like, and there was a little thing that had happened that it was obvious that had sort of set me off, but it wasn't just that one thing. It was the accumulation of all these little just more just misalignment of personality moments, that, and then that last thing that like I just got a bit ticked off about something. Basically, I had to go to the bathroom, and I was in a big hoodie. We were at the movie theater, and we finished the movie, and I had just like an extra coat that I've been carrying the whole time that I just didn't want to like take with me to the bath. I had like a backpack and a coat, and I was just like, hey, could you just hold my coat or just watch my stuff? Like I was gonna like put my backpack on the ground, and she's just like, no, don't put it on the ground. And like she just would not hold my coat for 5 minutes. She just completely just like, no, I'm not gonna hold your coat. And it was just the double standard too, of like, that's fine, she owes me nothing. It's not, I don't think it's, I didn't feel like it was that of an imposition on her. Like she was texting, and like I don't know if she had it slung, it was a leather jacket, it wasn't like a big winter coat, but it was still, I just didn't want to like bring all this like in the bathroom with me, and I didn't want to put on the coat because I was already at the point of like sweating. It was just, I was really hot, I was in a sweatsuit. So I did end up like, and it didn't inconvenience me that much at all. It's like not the biggest problem for me to take my coat in there. It's just like when I washed my hands, I did like hold it with my legs to sort of wash my hands, but I just sort of was like, really, it's just the double standard of like the things that she'll ask me for something like a favor like that too, and I don't ever say no. Like I really go out of my way. And anyways, there was that, and it was just like the threshold. I just had hit the threshold. I just felt like really annoyed at me. Like I've been placating this person, and they just like won't hold my coat for like 5 minutes. So I just like did not talk. I put my sunglasses on, I think, and I just tried to take as much. I had to be in a car with these people, with her and my dad, and I just was trying to like physically separate myself, but I knew she knows that I'm like, it was the coat thing. But that was just the thing that said that, like, I just said I need, I think because it's like, oh, what's wrong? Oh, was it because of what happened with the, I was like, I just need, what did I say? I said I need a break from you, so I'm taking some healthy emotional space. And yeah, I probably said it snippy, okay? I was having a hard time. I was having a very hard time not losing my cool. But this is where you feel like a whole thing happened after that I will probably go into, because this is normal also. People do this all the time. Like, it's like people get defensive or they're cold or whatever. And so this isn't like, oh, this person is just this like one moment or this one quality that they had. Like, when I speak about these things, it's like, this is a whole entire person, and this is like the tiniest little portion, like part of their personality, just also in their interactions with me. Like, I feel like everyone does interact differently with different people, and her and I grew up together. We were constantly compared to each other. Like, there was competition. There was what's called triangulation in a narcissistic family system. There's enabling of the narcissist themselves, the narcissist behavior, whatever. Like, and I feel like this trip made me realize like the whole thing or whatever, and how and why I did feel like the scapegoat in my family, at least at times. And that, like, there is a mix of me being very, very sensitive and just different from these people. Like, I'm probably gaining more of a tolerance for emotional immature behavior or narcissistic behavior, but there's like people that have a really, really high tolerance of narcissists. Unfortunately, they can become the biggest enablers of narcissists. And then sometimes it's, yeah, or just that behavior, like, they don't see it, they will see it as like, you are so sensitive and just get over it. But then I felt like there was a double standard. Because I felt like if my sister's feelings, if she felt upset or offended, like, there was like, I just don't know if it was this like hierarchy, like, because I presented, even energetically wise, as lower in the totem pole, that I was like, this is all even like on a subconscious level, like, because I held myself in that way. I feel like all these people, just their nervous systems are also dysregulated, and this is not at all intentional. And it's like a feeling of security, or it's hard to, some people just can't go there. Like, they can't actually, and they will just fully believe that you are the problem and causing drama just because, like, you are wanting to address like something that's happened, and it doesn't get resolved when it's just an immediate, like, okay, anyway, sorry, I'll get into what actually happened. So I was taking my quiet emotional space in the back of the car with my sunglasses on. Like, I don't know, it's just funny because it's not serious. Like, I laugh at it now, but I'm so relieved that I handled it. Like, I would be broken years ago, the height of my issue, like, and that did happen. So these little like things would happen, and I couldn't make boundaries or hold my own as a person, and lived that identity that these other people also saw me through, as this just like, I'm the emotional one that's like causing, like, there's no issue. Anyways, maybe it's important at this point to talk about like the past dynamic of, with like my sister and my dad. Like, I just, in the past, and I think I have brought this up to my dad more quite recently, of, because he did apologize. He's apologized for things and stuff, but it, like, for a long time, it was really hard. Like, I felt like I actually could not talk about it. I did feel he got defensive, and it was also like, you're still not over that, or this happened so long ago, or like, you keep bringing this up, or it's like acting as if like we've just resolved already, and I just keep rehashing it. But it's like there's such a there's such like it's like a whole part of resolution gets skipped. It's almost like what these people are comfortable with happening is kind of like, first of all, kind of being defensive and just denying and being like, well, or pointing the fingers, where I'm like, I just feel I've been feeling this way or whatever, and it's like, well, you did this or too and that, and then and there's like, oh, well, I'm sorry I was being that way, and then get over it kind of thing. There's that. Sorry, that wasn't even what I was going to talk about. I guess in the past there was like, it's the dynamic happened recently that was so reminiscent of the past. So like the memory that always sticks with me, like I'm sure this was like happening on a regular basis, but the one that got imprinted of like, I feel like I can't even defend myself. We were in the car, and I think my sister and I, and we're sisters, we're like 1 year apart, and it's, we're like competing with each other. We're just like, but I honestly feel like it's not completely even with, I feel like this is my perception, that she did instigate a lot of stuff. Like, started just picking at me, or like, oh, it's pawned it off as like a joke, but giving me slights kind of, and haha and laughing, and then I'm just like, okay, I'm not really cool with, like, I would either give it back, I would just give it back, or try to defend myself in some way. But I was not the biggest fan of that dynamic, but I definitely engaged with it and everything. So what I remember is we were all in the car, or I think it was, my mom probably wasn't there. So like, I do remember my mom did kind of give my sister shit for how she spoke to me and stuff like that, but then my mom had her own she spoke to us just so meanly at times herself, even, like, it's just this whole family system was like, not, I just wasn't having a fun time. So, but I do remember, like, because my dad, because like he wasn't the spectrum of the toxicity and stuff like that, like, because he was not near as I feel like emotionally abusive and verbally abusive as my mother. Like, I felt too like I have to idolize him in some way, like he's just the best. Or if other people, other people's perception of things too, of like, oh, your dad's so great. Or I don't even think people were saying that at all to me at the time whatsoever, but there was just so much encouragement and enabling too, of like, your parents are like, they're your family, and that you just can't criticize your parent, like, they're doing the best they can, and that everything's, or just when themselves are like, well, this is you're sensitive, and kind of, you believe that at the time, you believe like, it's like, I shouldn't feel sad or dismissed when someone does actually dismiss me or my feelings. It's normal. I didn't realize how freaking normal my reaction was to all this thing. And that is also why I briefly touched on wanting to denounce my borderline personality disorder diagnosis. Definitely having the symptoms of that disorder it's just post-traumatic stress. It's normal post-traumatic stress. I talked about in a different live stream, this guy on YouTube, his name's Daniel Mackler, I believe, and he used to be a therapist, and he talked about how he does not like to label things as disorders, because it's like a normal reaction. It's not even a disorder, he sees it as. I just really resonated with it. I really like it. I really like his videos. So my borderline personality disorder, whatever, and so it can just be so much more than you getting diagnosed. And I was like, really feel like I was humbled that so many years I've been like dissecting and trying to change myself and me be a better person and fix my own anxiety issues and be like, yeah, I need to like be cool. But the missing piece, like the final piece, to the puzzle, is also realizing how normal you were, and it wasn't just all this like anxiety disorder, this borderline personality disorder, and this like it's all you, like you're just this overly sensitive, like you're overly reacting to everything. No, these were normal feelings, like feeling dismissed or just not protected or being able to defend myself. So going back to the car, my sister was she was just like picking at me, I don't know, whatever, doing the sisterly thing, and then I was responding, and then my dad is like, hey, like cut it out, whatever. And I'm like, she started it. It's like, I don't care who started it, Alyssa, like you're, he basically said you're the problem now. Like I'm pretty sure he actually said those words, or it was like, well, you're continuing it, like I don't even care at all how it started, like you're causing this whole issue now by like I couldn't even have the ability to just say my piece, and then like I'm the one that gets cut off for, I just felt silenced. I felt like I did not have a voice. And then after those interactions and everything, I did just start to not speak my truth or be me, or just have such anxiety around these people because I don't, yeah, I just like don't want it to be framed or made to be like, you just feel crazy for being like, I'm having a normal response. And like she can be so loud and like you're hearing what's happening. She's, well, maybe she was like hiding it and like being quiet and that they didn't know what was like being said to me. And then I have what seems like a big reaction, and it's like, you're like too much. And like, you know, and like just, what is that called? Is that an indirect form of gaslighting in a way? Like, what is it called when it's like, it looks like I'm the crazy one, but I'm really not. And I'm just like, oh, it's so frustrating. So I did harbor that. Like, none of that, like, I just felt, why, um, I'm just being misunderstood. Why can't I just even be me and respond back? And this person is just also getting away with like their attitude. Like there was definitely many moments of, they were not just like calmly talking to me, and it was always just being misinterpreted as me being loud, and they weren't. So they didn't like know that, or it was mostly my dad. Like my mom did know or see, or when I said like, you know, this was said to me or this, it was like she didn't want us to be talking, being mean to each other. Like she did think, but then again, there's been times, or maybe later in life, it was like when we were kids, it was whatever, but then it just became like enabled, like that's just her. Well, that's just her. And if I had any complaint and was like, you know, I was kind of hurt by this, it's like, well, oh, that's just who she is. And that, like, that you just couldn't even say anything critical about how the behavior or what was happening, that like I have to just take it or see it as like there's a difference between continually trying to get the person to change, and they're thinking they should not be this way, they shouldn't be whatever. Like when it gets locked in, like this is this person's personality now, and also if they're adult, I believe in like realizing, labeling it though as it's not like everything's fine and I'm just being overly sensitive to this normal thing. It's sort of like, oh, that's kind of emotionally immature. No, that is dismissive. No, okay, that was a bit of gaslighting. Like labeling it, but then not being like, they shouldn't gaslight me, or they shouldn't dismiss me. Now it's been such a life changer to be like, oh yeah, that was dismissive. It makes sense. I'm feeling this way, whatever. But they should not dismiss me because that's who they are, and I'm accepting. And it's just, it's I will suffer by trying to get them to be something they're not. I will suffer by trying to just expecting them to not dismiss me, and that, like, so when I picked up on these behaviors, and I know it's not a shock at all. It's not as, I'm not as sensitive, and I act differently in accordance, being like, I don't want to share that. I'm not going to share this personal thing, or I'm not going to like confide in this person. I'm not going to think that this person can actually emotionally support me, even if they ask me about something about my life, like now I actively choose to, I'm aware now, like, okay, I'm gonna share this thing. It's like, don't expect anyone to they might not emotionally support you in this moment or whatever. Like, I'm aware of that, and so I have no expectations of that at all, whatever, and I don't lean on these people, so I don't have any I've detached already in my own way. I have, like, emotionally, in a lot of ways, completely detached to them, and that's where I feel like they don't even know me anyways, or sort of get me. And I fully realized after this weekend, like, my continued participation, at least in the way that I'm showing up in the relationships, is all for them, that I'm worried about hurting them and now how they feel. So let's go back to the story. I was being quiet in that, and we all get to the apartment, so I'm just not talking, and I didn't say why I was upset at that point. I think, yeah, I just said I need a break from her, my sister, like some healthy emotional space. So then I go right into the room, and then I hear them whispering about me. And I know, obviously, if it was me, obviously I'm gonna be like, what happened? Like, why is she mad? Like, whatever. And I didn't say, because I didn't know what, I had a feeling it wasn't gonna go well if I were to address it and talk. Like, I just felt from the moment I hit my threshold and I could not anymore. I couldn't even. I'm like, I can't talk about it because it's not going to go well. I'm not going to be understood, but I don't know. At least this happened at the end. I just wasn't sure. I just was stuck in a friggin' apartment with them. And then if they were going to, like, talk about me, and I can kind of hear that they're talking about me and they're going to spin their own narrative. Like, I'd rather at that point, I'm like, okay, I'll address it. Like, I will say what it is, at least, so that there's not just full speculation. I would just rather, if we're in the same vicinity and everything like that, like, I'd rather us directly talk than me be in the room and you guys talk about me. It's like, okay, I'll talk about it now if you need to know what's going on. So I came out and I was like, I know you're talking about me. It's obvious you're talking about me. I know, and it's just, I wasn't offended that they were talking about me. Like I said, I would do the exact same thing. And so my sister's like, okay. She was just laughing and fully admitted that I was like, it's obvious. I know you're talking about me. But yeah, so anyways, the whole not holding my jacket at the movie theater thing came up, like that. Oh, I know you're, or like, clearly that kind of bothered you, whatever. And I was like, yeah, that, it's not just that one thing. No, I'm not all, like, upset at one thing. It's been various things, and and I brought up examples, and, like, when I brought up an example, it just immediately kind of went to this other situation that happened that morning, that it's like, well, you did this and you're wrong for that. And it was just annoying because I spoke about losing my cool, and I feel like my sister loses her cool on minor little things constantly, and the one time I lose my cool, I've been already pushed to lose it. It's like, that's the one type of gaslighting, in a way, is this sort of, like, distorted reality that like, this huge impetus, is that the word, on my one moment of being a little bit snippy versus constant having this, like, just, like, various moments of that snippiness happening to me, and, like, I'm not immediately responding with this, like, cold whatever. It's like, you push me to the point. Sorry, I don't know, this is a long might not make any sense, but this is integral to the story to bring up this next situation that she then, I'm talking about how I did bring up, the other day I was just looking for something and asked, have you seen my eye mask? And immediately I was met with the, like, just coldness, and I'm like, it takes a toll on a person. Like, I had brought up an example, but so I'm sharing how I feel, but then it's like immediately brought to this next situation that I will explain. Don't you and this, don't you were wrong for that though, and that, like, that's gaslighting. Like, I'm now defending myself about some other thing. Like, there was no space held just for me to have my one feeling about how I'm feeling. And I feel like I did use I statements. Well, I did say, you know, when you respond in this way, and like, I'm trying to be as emotionally mature as I possibly can, so I don't want to be being like, you are this or you're doing that. But like, obviously it's necessary to explain, like, this behavior of yours, just so you know it does affect me in this way, but I'm not, you don't have to change it, but this is why I am taking emotional space, or I'm upset, because it's not jiving with the personalities. So she brings up this scenario that happened that morning. We went to visit her because we ran a we were all supposed to do this half marathon together, but my dad ended up getting injured, and then I just didn't train, and I just didn't care to run this long thing. The last time I did it, the one other time I did it, it was a nice achievement to have, but I got the most massive migraine after. I was so sore, like, couldn't for a week straight, just like penguin waddling around in just some, I was like, it's not, I'm not gonna get anything out of it. I don't need that achievement. So I then also decided to switch. My dad switched because he got injured. So my dad and I ended up just running the 8-kilometer race. And so my sister was doing like 22 kilometers. It's a half marathon. So at first we would all be together. We would all finish at the exact same time and everything, and like take pictures together after and whatever. But now the two of us were running this other thing. She was doing that. And the times didn't really line up at all. So her race started way earlier than us, and she was like completely done by the time we started ours. So, but there was, so the initial plan was that, okay, well, we're just not going to be able to see each other at the end of the race. So I have to pee, but I gotta hold it because I'm going to finish this, and then I'm probably going to end the live stream soon. But so from what I remember, it was the, like, I guess I wasn't listening because the plan changed, but what I remembered up until the race and after, like, the plan was just, we were gonna meet at the apartment. Like, she was gonna finish her race and then walk back to the apartment, and then we just meet up after, because there was just no way that we could time it. But I guess she had a different plan with my dad, or like maybe it was once spoken about when the three of us were there, but I didn't know, or wasn't paying attention, didn't hear that it changed. I do remember her just talking about brunch, that after we'd all go for brunch, but I guess the brunch had to do with like, oh yeah, we'll meet up and then we'll walk to I don't know, we had to shower anyway. Like, I don't know. Guys, I didn't know that the plan had changed, but my dad talked to her the morning of, like, when she got up for her race that was a lot earlier than ours. Like, she discussed it just with him. I was fast asleep, I was not present, and I guess that exact morning, right before we ran, I guess she talked to him, and so he had the updated version of the plan. But even he didn't think it was, I guess, solidified that we would that she would hang around and try to catch us after the race. Like, he thought, well, we'll try and do that or see if it works. But I guess she was committed to like waiting for us. So, and I have no clue at that point whatsoever. I feel like she's resting, she's having her shower, she's chilling at the apartment. That's what I think at this point. So, but she texted me when she finished. I was like, oh, how'd you do? Good job, and that. So I had known when she finished. So she finished, we hadn't even started yet. I'm like, oh yeah, we're running at like 9:30. And so I still don't know the plan, and I don't know. So she's like thinking that, yeah, I've already said it. She's waiting for us and everything. I thought she was like on her way back to the apartment. She's done and whatever. So my dad and I were doing the 8K, and I don't know how I'm so sore from 8 kilometers. And my dad's like, I guess 60 years old at this point, and he wanted me to set the pace, but he's the one with the pulled hamstring and that, and I'm like, no, you set the pace, because I don't even care to. I thought we were going for a casual jog. He said he was going to take it easy, but the first half, like, he was giving her. It felt really fast, and I would not have, if I was setting the pace, there's no way I would not have been running that fast. So I feel worse than, I think my knees were hurting more than when I did the half marathon a few years ago. I don't know how, but anyways, that's okay. A little side note that is not integral to the story, but anyways, so we're just running. I was gonna stay with him the whole entire time, but at the very, very end, and he told me even early, like, oh, you go ahead, but this is integral to the what happened to is my dad did not have his own phone because he forgot his running fanny packy thing. And so, but we were going to just be running together the whole time anyways. And so I had my phone, and he was like, well, you can run ahead. I'm like, well, how am I going to find you after there's like a lot of people and stuff? There's actually a lot of people in this event. And so I'm with him the whole time and then I just get a little, I did want to sprint at the end and stuff, and he kept a pretty fast pace for like a little while, and then he was not, with his pulled hamstring and that, like, he was not gonna go hard at the end or whatever. So we were really almost done. It was just like the last little, I could like pretty much just about see the finish line thing there. It was less than a kilometer at this point that I said, okay, if I can't find you, let's meet at that red sign. Like, we were in the street and we were passing, it was just like the one thing at the time that I could think of that stood out enough to, like, for some reason, if I can't find you out at the finish line, let's meet at that place. Go to the meeting spot. It was like a sushi place. It was a big red sign. And so he's like, okay. So I did run ahead, and he wasn't that far behind me at all though. So I finished, and then I didn't go, like, I was actually right after the finish line, and you keep walking, and then you go down to where my sister was at this time that I had no idea she was still there waiting for us. So it's like you go around down out of the street this one direction, but our meeting place was, it was hard because people are running in the street, and I didn't realize how hard when we finished too it would be to get to that other side, like to the meeting spot that I told him, like the sushi place with the red sign, how it was a little bit difficult to like get all the way around over to that side of the street because we kind of ended on the other side of the street. And but I just thought, I don't need to go to the meeting place. I hung around right after like the finish line area. Like there was a little area before you could like go out and get your medal and get your snacks and go fully out of the thing. Like you could just wait. And I was like scanning for everyone coming out, thinking like there's no way I could miss them. Like I could see everyone finishing, and I was standing right there, but I don't see him. And I'm like, there's no way I could have missed him. And I'm like, I just don't want to leave prematurely just in case, like, but what if something did happen, and I just don't want to go right over to that meeting spot because what if he just hasn't come out yet? But I wait way long, like 10 minutes. Like he was, I think, less than a minute behind me. And so he definitely came out, he passed me. And then my sister starts calling me because she saw him and she tried to call at him, but he didn't hear her. She's like, I saw dad and that. And then so I didn't know she was still there, and so then she's like, I've been waiting for you guys, and we were all gonna meet, and now it's been 10 minutes waiting at the finish line, and I'm like, I gotta go to the sushi meeting place because he can't leave from there because then we're screwed. And I'm like, I don't know if he knows any of our phone numbers by heart. I asked him after, he didn't know our phone numbers, so he couldn't borrow a phone to even call us at all. Like, if I didn't get to the meeting point, and he didn't know how to get to my sister's apartment, and I don't even know if he knew the actual address of the street. Like, he roughly knew. He probably could have. It was just gonna be a whole shit show. So I'm like, my sister's just being like, I've been trying to, where are you guys? I've been waiting here for like 2 hours, so I need to meet with you, and saying like, I need to share my location. She needs to come find me. And I was like, well, I'm trying to find Dad and this. And she's like, oh, well, I saw him in that. And then I'm like, hey, I gotta go to this meeting place we said right now, so I gotta go. And she's like, well, where are you? Where are you? And she was annoyed at me. And like, I just was frantic, realizing how long it was going to take to get all the way up and over there. So I'm just like walking and talking with her, and I don't know how. I haven't done the share my location on Google Maps like hardly at all, and I know it's like in the setting, and I just knew I just don't know at the second. Like, my main goal was get to that sign as fast as I could. And she's like, I want to go there with you. She was way somewhere else. She was like down the other way with all the people, like after the race, which was opposite to the sushi place. Like, the sushi place was like the other direction, and it's like, you're not even gonna catch up. But she would not, she kept pushing me and pressuring me. So I did get snippy, and I did end up hanging up on her. I did call her back, but I was like, I'm just running there. He can't leave. I need to catch him if he's still having to hang out there. But like, I've been waiting for 10 minutes now, so he might have, if he's left that spot, we don't have a chance to find him. So, and so anyways, she was upset that we were all gonna meet, and I was like, I'm sorry, I had no idea. And I immediately apologized too about the whole, like, that we've lost my dad. I'm like, this is all my fault. I'm sorry. This is all my fault. I took full responsibility, because I was like, I never should have left him. I should have ran with him across the finish line this whole time. But luckily, I go to the sushi place. At first, he's not there at all, and I was like, shit, he's left. And then I'm still talking to her, so I hang up briefly. I call her back, and when I'm on the phone with her again, I actually then I find him. He's like parallel to me. He's on the other side of the street of the people running, but in line with the sushi sign. And he was at the sushi sign. He was there right after. He's like, it was a stupid plan, but I stuck to the plan. It was like not a good meeting spot, but I stuck to the spot. No matter what, I stuck to the plan. So we did manage to find each other, thank God. But in that moment, like, my concern was not finding my sister, and I kept telling her where I was. She's like, where are you? Share your location. And I still ended up at the end of the day sharing my location. I did say like, okay, I pressed the button, and she's like, oh, well, you have to send it. And just all that time spent was not going to matter, because I was almost at the meeting place, and it's like, I just need to find him first, right? But I still, she wouldn't really take no as an answer, and I still did it. I didn't even say like, I ask, can you hold my coat for 5 minutes? It's like, no, I'm not gonna do that. Like, no, and it's over. And I don't make her. I did a little, be like, hey, come on, it's just 5. But then at the end of the day, I accept it. And I still did even what she wanted me to do. Like, in the message, you can see, like, I did end up actually sharing the location. I kept saying, I'm on this cross street, this street. Now I'm going this way. I'm on this and this. And it was never freaking enough. It was never enough. I was telling her everything I could. So, and she's like, I'm just going to walking to the apartment anyway. I'm leaving now because I've been waiting. I was like, yeah, no, it's all good. Go home. Like, you know, I had no idea that she was trying to wait for us. Anyways, that was a huge, long story. But that is the situation she brought up when, let's rewind all the way back. If we remember, I hit my threshold with her not wanting to hold my coat for 5 minutes. She doesn't have to, whatever, but I just was like, I'm not having it. And so when I was talking about, there's just various things that have started to affect me, like, just, she immediately brings up that morning that I hung up on her, that I got so rude with her. And again, as a reminder, at the time too, after when we found her, I do remember I was like, sorry, I just apologized to make the peace too. I was like, sorry, I got snippy on the phone, but she was well snippy with me by the time I feel like I was even snippy. And I just don't hold my own usually. That's not my usual behavior. Like, these people are just used to me, them being able to just honestly kind of walk all over me, and like me not have any boundaries. So I still, though, at the time, I said, first of all, this is all my fault that we lost Dad. This is all my fault. I'm sorry. Da, da, da. I said, we were texting about that, you know, we talked about this, that we're going to meet after. And I was like, sorry, I didn't, I said, like, I had no idea about this. Sorry. And then I was like, well, next time we'll need, she's like, well, we talked about it. You weren't listening. I was like, well, next time we'll have to have an official meeting about it, whatever. Then, so she's at the apartment, whatever. My dad and I meet up and we're on our way back to the apartment. And I talked to him how I care about my sister's feelings still, and like I would be if I did think that we were meeting up, and there was definitely miscommunication. Like she had spoken with him, and he's like, yeah, oh, we did kind of say, I just didn't know for sure. I was like, she's gonna be upset still, like, you know, and so what's our game plan? You know, we should obviously like apologize and this and that, and then so I went over that because I care. And then right before we got into the apartment, as a joke, I was like, okay, so we're gonna be like, I'm sorry, I'm so sorry, my apologies, I don't know how that would happen, like, get over it. Like, and he's like, no, we can't tell her to get over it. And I was like, haha, I'm just kidding, I'm joking. But I feel like that's what it's like for me, and I don't even get like multiple apology. It's just like, yeah, I'm sorry. And it's like, if you keep going on about it now, like you're going on and on and on and da-da-da. So it was just like, that was a little bit of foreshadowing too, that I just made that little joke because I'm like, obviously we're not, but I did it as a joke. So then we get there and I was like, yeah, Dad and I want to officially apologize and this and that. So that was a thing. But when I had my feelings about stuff, that situation got brought up, that I was rude during and she's like, don't you think you were wrong for what happened for that? Like, you were wrong too, and this and that. And I'm like, I don't feel like it's even or has to be even, or like I have to be wrong for like, yeah, that is a form of gaslighting. When we're grasping at straws for something that like you can pin on me, that, and you need to admit that you're wrong in that thing. And I forgot even, like I had already even apologized, and they just wanted me to also apologize. Like then I was being pressured to be apologizing. It's like, why in the hell am I apologizing for one thing? And I already had anyways when that situation happened. But the issue I had with my dad was my sister and I were talking, and my dad was in the apartment, like he was there and that, and I thought this isn't gonna go well. And it was all too reminiscent of the past situations as a child where I felt like I can't defend my own self. And he pretty much immediately was just like, you both just need to get along. You both just need to get along. And so I see that as dismissive of, there's no chance to hear me out at all if it's just all about you both just need to get along. So yeah, and then he just full on started interfering, saying that, telling me how I feel, saying you don't want to resolve it, Alyssa, you don't want to settle it, you said you didn't want to engage, and now because I was expressing just how I was feeling and then what happened, and then when I decided to like disengage and just go in the room and not talk, but then so he's like, you said you didn't want to engage and now you're engaging. And I was like, because you guys were talking about it there, and I thought, okay, I'd rather confront it if you guys are gonna talk, like I'd rather confront it now. And like, just, I'm defending myself, but it becomes about that haven't acted perfect enough. Like it got so uncomfortable for me. And then other thing, like I said, we're exposing everything. There's been issues. There's stuff that's still unresolved with my dad because his partner treated me poorly. I was not doing anything. She was perceiving me as, she was kind of paranoid about me and that. And I know my truth. I know I did not cause shit because I know I was so happy to have her. I was like, I have a family now that I can have movie nights with and hang. I didn't have like that family unit. And I was not the like, upset, like at the stepmom figure type of dynamic at all. Like she started to have a problem with me. I became not even like welcome at the house. Like she just, I didn't know why. I tried to talk to her about it. I was like crying and she was like really cold to me and whatever. And I tried to resolve, like I feel like I try to resolve things as a healthy and mature person. And at the time I did not attack her. Like I was so passive in that. And my dad was present for that first initial, like, I was like, I just kind of want to address this because I feel really uncomfortable. I don't know what I did to hurt her feelings. And I did say, like, I don't know if there's something I've like done, or, and I was so shaky and passive. I'm like, I don't know if I did something, like, I just feel like, you know, things have changed. Like, it seemed like we don't hang out anymore, or I don't, like, and she got immediately defensive and I was crying. It was really uncomfortable and embarrassing for me. And then my dad and I left, and that was years and years ago. And he was like, well, if it's not going to change and resolve, like if it's not going to, if she's going to like act this way with my kids or something, like it's not happening. Like we left together and left the situation, but since then, many years ago, the same dynamic would happen. And then and then my dad said to me with that situation, well, it takes two to tango. So when he told me this very recent situation with my sister, like, you both just need to get along, after we kind of were trying to talk in that, I brought that up. I said, when you said that, like, that is just, to me, it's like the same thing as like with the issues with your partner. Like, it's the same thing when you told me it takes two to tango. Because I'm like, I feel like I'm not really doing anything. Like, why am I so, you think I'm a part of that? I like, why is it like, no, you're also causing these things and that? And I'm like, I don't think I am. Like, before, I just could not even have that truth or ability to be like, they see it this way, but that is not the reality, at least for me. Like, they might think that I'm also causing all these issues, but like, I actually know I'm not now. So I felt better about that, dealing with like the intensity that it got to. But I was being told by my dad that I was just going on and on about it, and that I don't want to resolve it and I don't want to settle it, because my sister did end up apologizing after, immediately though, being more defensive, gaslight, whatever. Then it was like, okay, oh, I'm sorry, I was being, you know, bitchy or something, or I'm sorry then, and that, and then it's like, that's not actually resolve it, because like, I'm not going to be spoken to. I'm not going to be, that it's just swept under the rug. It's not resolved in that way, in my opinion. Like, it doesn't need to happen that I get, you know, gaslit, whatever you want to call it, or just like, there could have been like a calm conversation about it, and there could have not been like, first of all, my dad immediately dismissed me and be like, you both just need to get along. Like, there was not space. So even just like, I'm sorry, whatever, there's still not that space held for me to express my own stuff. Like, and so, because I'm done with that happening, continuing to happen, and I'm not just moving on. And so since then also, so it's this, there's the issues with my sister, then stuff surfaced with my dad that I had been, there was a recent thing, like, for many years, I never got a conversation with his partner. I never got an actual conversation ever, an apology. I don't care about an apology at all. I just want realness. I just, like, but it was all just kept getting swept under the rug. Like, and I just continued. I felt so uncomfortable around this person and these people, and not emotionally safe. Things were, at least one of my family members, like, things were said about me to that family member, from this person, like, you don't know the real Lissa. Like, this person tried to convince my grandma that I was, like, I don't know, not a good person for some reason. Like it's just, she was really paranoid and I don't know, thinking that I was doing things that I wasn't. Like I was getting accused of things when I was like living in their house that like I wasn't doing. Like one day I was in the office and there was just random like scrap paper around and I had a glass of water and I didn't have a coaster, so I could use a piece of paper for that. And then it's always been passive aggressive too. This person's never directly addressed anything with me. And when we've tried to, it's like talking to a wall and it's like complete denial that there's even any issue. So anyways, everything would go through my dad. And I noticed that this person was seemingly upset at me or being a bit cold, but like in a way. And I guess I should have honestly like called it out, been like, hey, I did have like a formal like, hey, is there something that I've done or something like that? But maybe I could have also in the moment been like, hey, right now, are you upset at me? Is there something that's upsetting me? Like maybe I also didn't even know sometimes that she was like upset. And then my dad would just be like, hey, were you like snooping at all? Or no, I don't think he said it like that to me. He just said like, hey, his partner, like so-and-so, let's just make up a fake name. Let's just say Julia. I don't know, what just came to mind. He's like, Julia, noticed that, like I used that scrap paper for a coaster. And he's like, she thinks that you were like maybe snooping in the office or I don't know. I guess that paper I used had some stuff that she had like written or something. Like I didn't know it even had I didn't even look at it. This was like it was not, it was, there was just papers all over the place and I just used a random paper, right? And I didn't know it even had writing or that it had things on set. And like I got accused of like there was a mouse in the house and she, never from her, it just all came through my dad, that she was convinced that I was the reason why this mouse was in the house because I had gone tree planting and she thought that it like got in through my bag that I took tree planting. I'm like, I didn't even take the suitcase that I'm using in this house. Like I did not take tree planting at all. Like I don't have a bag in here that I. So anyways, it was just like, I'm done with the like indirect, like the passive aggressive, whatever. Anyways, it really was hurtful at the time what was happening. I actually ended up in like the psych ward during the height of the relationship issues, like not being welcome at my dad's home. Like we would not hang out there at all because I get she was not okay with me. And then how it ended was just all of a sudden she was okay with me and I got invited over and then like we still just never talked about it. So recent things surfaced, like something triggered her in a way, and while I was over, which I'm like never over there unexpected, but I think she was at work and then she came home after, but like I'm not just there. I was going through like a bit of a crisis mode and I was with my dad and like I usually just don't reach out for help, but I needed to just get out of my living situation at the time. It was like healthy for my partner and I to take some space and that like because I need to heal and work on my own self too, because I was like I don't continue in unhealthy dynamics. Like if people need space, it's healthy in that. So I just asked if I could stay with him. I don't know, she didn't know what was even going on, but she just like came home, seemed like really just pissed off that I thought maybe she's just grumpy for no reason or I don't know, like, but it was just like, what's going on, like it just was like immediately I felt like such an imposition. And then since then she didn't talk to my dad for like a month straight and like it all had to do with him, I guess, helping me with that sort of situation. And then I moved back in here like shortly after, and then like even then like she was still just upset at him, I guess, for he a little bit financially helped me in that situation, and like I don't ask for or like expect any financial help, whatever. Like, it took a lot for me to, there had been other times that I was trying to just like momentarily, like temporarily get out of my living situation, like not having the funds to like put myself up somewhere, like friends to stay with at the time. And I would have just stayed with him in the place there, but I guess didn't have an extra space and whatever. And like, he usually has, he had his own Airbnbs, but it was like booked. And so he like immediately was like, I'm just gonna put you in an Airbnb. It's no problem. I'm good. It's, and I was like, well, I feel, but like, it was something he wanted to do, and it did really, really help me. But I guess something that had to do with me, and she was not okay with, and like, that day she was not, I don't know, she seemed upset at me, and it was really uncomfortable and tense, and my dad did admit that that was uncomfortable, whatever. Anyways, so I like had a whole reflection like after that sort of incident, and like I felt for my dad that he wasn't even being spoken to because there's something to do with me. I'm like, why do I have this much? I think there was other issues, obviously, kind of, but that, like, that, for that like, the day that happened was when the no speaking at all, passive aggressiveness, whatever, like, started. And then, I guess they sort of reconciled, but this will happen over and over and over again, like, over so many years. Like, there was just this long period of time that I was just, like, also keeping the peace, and there was just, like, nothing, I guess, triggering the reaction of her having issues with me or whatever. Like there was just this big years long chunk that it was kind of okay, but I never felt comfortable because I never was able to ever have conversations. So I did take the opportunity to have it out there. Like, I texted her about like that, like, I'm always open to talking, that, like, from the beginning, I was happy to have you in my life, to have a family. And then, like, I don't know, I just said, I don't know what problem it is you like have had with me, but like, I have never had a problem with you, and I just, wanted to be a family. And then it seemed like something, I don't know, I did something to upset you maybe or something. And then like, back in the day. And then at the time I tried to talk about it, like, that didn't go well, and then so like, if you ever are open to like having a conversation, like, I sent that message, and then the only response I got was she meant to send to my dad, being like, oh, I guess Alyssa meant to, or what'd she say? She was like, I'm guessing Alyssa already sent you this, ... And she sent that to me. And I'm like, this is Alyssa, like, ... And she's like, oh, sorry, LOL, I meant to send it to your dad. And that's the only response I've ever gotten. Now it's been like a few months, and I guess they've like reconciled on the notion that my dad at the time had said that she would make amends, or at least make amends. I'm guessing means like talking to me, like, but now it's fully realized, especially since this weekend, like, it's been a long time. They've been reconciled for long enough that no amends are going to be made at all. It's just going to go back to the same usual whatever, unless I make a boundary, because I, for one thing, I want to have control over, if I don't feel this person has talked about me to other people in the past and stuff, and like, I don't think they would even do that to this day. Or like, I'm not worried if this person knew personal stuff about me and just like had their own judgments about me, or potentially even spoke to other people like about me in a negative way, if they don't know if they even would do that. But knowing the past, and the not feeling emotionally safe, or just like that, this is a person that I can trust at all. I want to have control over what information they have of me, what personal information. And like, I'm also not going to tell my dad, like, oh, don't tell your partner things about me, or don't tell her anything about, like, and at this point I do have an issue with him, because I just feel like he doesn't really have my back, to keep saying, like, there's a boundary that she needs to make like I guess like respect us in a way that like he just keeps it separate. He just like compartmentalizes it, and like I just will not go there. I just want to be able to feel comfortable visiting my dad, like stopping by, and I could in that, but then it's just this tension. It's just like unresolved stuff, and I don't care. I'm done like acting like everything's okay, and there's obviously an issue there, or she has with me, or something that affects her own relationship at times as well, and that like there's an issue. I'm not going to just like go along and make appearances and pretend when you have an issue. So it already just went back to fully being swept under the rug at the point when he was like, oh, Julia is says good job for the race, like, you know, to me and my sister, and this like cordial. It's like, no, I'm not gonna do that anymore. So I'm doing no contact with my whole family, with my whole immediate family, to just first of all individuate, and like, because some big thing doesn't have to happen to have this break at all, but I need to assert myself in a way, in my boundaries. And I did say that my dad and we drove to see my sister with his friend, and so I didn't want to make it awkward on the way back, so the only thing that my dad knows, that I guess from saying this, he would know that I'm still open to resolving or talking about it, but I refuse to do so without a mediator, because the three of us were going to be in a car together, and my dad's friend and I actually do click, and I knew he would like understand, like, and not be all, it's just like navigating personalities and like being able to like, yeah, I knew I could tell him like, hey, yeah, my dad and I had a bit of an issue, like, I don't know, we had a bit of an issue, and so I don't want to make it awkward in this car ride, but I'm like taking emotional space from my dad. So if it seems weird, if I'm being quiet, I just said, because it was really uncomfortable for me last night when we were trying to talk about some things, and it was just like so I refused to talk or work through it like without a mediator present, and I just need to like take space right now. And he was just so understanding and cool, and so it was so much better, honestly, having him there than just me and my dad be alone in the car ride back, because then I also would have felt like pressure it was like a 9-hour drive. It was going to be a lot of pressure to attempt to start talking about it. And my solid boundary, folks, is, first of all, I just need time and space to individuate and be just not in contact. Like, when my family can't get a hold of me, they just they message my partner, which I'm fine with, he's okay with. And so there can still be like a contact for emergencies and stuff, or just like, yeah, Alyssa's okay, but I just again, said this a while ago, like, these relationships, I realized the dynamic, or me being in it, like, it's for them as well. So it's sad to say, like, it's sad to be like, I'm okay not having a relationship with my dad. Like, I'm okay not having a relationship with my mom. I'm okay not having a relationship with my sister. But like, for the longest time, like, these people don't actually really know me. I don't think they understand my sense of humor a lot of time, or really, I think it's too surfacey for me when you cannot resolve the actual deep issues. Like, you just can't go there. It's like, no, like, and then it's just hard for me to just sometimes, the day-to-day, it's just deep within me is like that. it's hard just to regulate my nervous system. It is hard to just completely unenmesh and separate myself from them completely and not fall back into that like placating or like my role of just like the sensitive the hierarchy thing. Like when I made this boundary, and I did end up talking in the car, and I wasn't just like, we ended up going to IKEA. We ended up going to this furniture store, and I tried to still take physical space for my dad in the store, but we had to meet up to get stuff like in the truck, or like he was helping me find my items. It's like this big warehouse area that you have to go like find out the bin number and this and like this, like, so I had to then actually, like, I was talking to before, but just monotone, very minimal responses and that. So like we were talking again and this and that, and like my dad might think, I have not told him, he might think, he obviously thinks like everything's just gonna be fine and go back to normal, but like I'm not having it. So yeah, I'm not, this is like a really long, this is like a therapy session, and I'm not meaning to throw these people all under the bus. And I don't, it sucks for them. It sucks for them that I have a YouTube channel. I hope that no one needs to know, it's just hard to have a YouTube channel and to want to share and express and to help people, maybe reflect on their own situations and that, like, it's hard to do that and be able to not at all talk about people in your life at all. So, but I have felt so much more free. Like, I just wasn't pursuing my life in so many ways. And this is part of it for me because, again, I have said, like, this, I wouldn't know what to post about. Like, this is just actively going on, and it's, like, a huge part of who I am as a person. And I would be sweeping it under the rug. I would be, like, dismissing, I feel like I'd be dismissing my own feelings or, like, this huge part of my life if I were to make this rule that I can't at all talk about it or these people. And I tried in my other live stream to not say the relationship of the person at all, like be like, okay, so this person that did it, and it gets so confusing, and then I'm like, you guys are probably gonna know who I'm talking about if it's like my mom or dad or this person, like, anyways, obviously. But that was the guilt thing about the whole thing, and I'm talking about just my perspective of my interactions with these people. They have their own perspective, and that's valid. It's totally valid. I feel that, honestly, to the core. Like, that's just, I so resonate with someone I just have been listening to for so many years. Her name is Jessa Reed. I'm on her Patreon because she doesn't do a lot of her just regular podcasts. It's mostly on Patreon now, but I found her from she was like, Dr. Drew interviewed her one time, the Burtcast, Burt Kreischer, comedian, love him. She was a comedian, so, but she talks about these types of dynamics and like spiritual stuff and that, but it's not like, it's different from like the new age spiritualism type of a cult. Like, there's just like a lot of spiritual cults, and I do not resonate. I really, really resonate with her messages and stuff, and just about like having your own thing, and also to not at all, like, she's really not about like presenting herself as some guru or anything who knows all the answers at all. Like, because that's just, I do not trust spiritual people that are trying to say that they are just all enlightened and perfect and know everything. Like, it's just ick. She's just all about like, everyone's got their own truth or thing. And I talked about maybe it was the last live stream, like, I have a hard time being the bad guy in someone else's story. Like, she's spoken about that dynamic of like not wanting to be seen as the bad guy, like to like allowing them to have their own version and perspective and everything. And like, yeah, because my thing will be to try to control other people's things. But I'm gonna, yeah, end this soon. It's been like really long, but it's like there's no anger at all. It's my own self. Like, no one's to blame. No one's doing anything wrong. Like, they're showing up as they should. Like, and I thank them for it. Honestly, it makes me who I am. It pushes me to grow. Like, I would never change my experience ever. It taught me in the most intense way, I guess. Not most, there's different upbringings that are like a million times more intense for sure, but I've mentioned this before, even like my not I don't even want to say not good experience with my counselor, because it was good, because it was good for me, because I was pushed in the way I needed to be pushed. Like, I do feel like everything happens for a reason, and I'm seeing it all now and everything, and I do accept and love these people as they are, but that doesn't mean like I need to be in contact continuously or at all or at all times. Like, I get to make that decision, and it's nothing against them at all. It's just me and my thing, because even like nothing has to have happened. I've still been enmeshed with these people's emotional state. Like, I've been in, like, they could be I don't know, being like the most emotionally healthy, like not partaking in any type of gaslighting things or this and that, like, and I could still just feel anxious around someone. Like, I would feel really anxious about people that were so comfortable with their own selves, because if they made this like direct eye contact with me, I'm like, oh no, they're gonna pick up on stuff. Like, people that are really aware and self-aware, I get really uncomfortable around them still, even like it goes both ways. Like, because I'm like, oh my god, they're looking into my like, it's a mirror with my own insecurities. Like, I just gotta get a solid foundation of who I am and my own identity. And unfortunately, it's just it's too fresh. Like, there's just too many triggers with like continuing contact for now, for this period of time. I feel like I need like a year of minimal contact, like little to no. And it's it's so hard to feel sometimes okay doing that. And like, yeah, I'm gonna be seen as the bad guy, or like, oh, she doesn't want, and I didn't do anything. And I'm like, I don't want you to feel bad. Like, I will express this and say it how it is, because that is the truth. It's like, you are doing nothing wrong. Like, this is how I feel. Like, this is just, it's a me thing. But like, yeah, I'm just trying to find the line between expressing, like, is it just not compatible, or is it workable? Like, if I do have issues with, it's more so just if I express like, hey, I feel like I can't trust you because of this reason, or like, it doesn't line up when you say one thing, or that like amends are going to be made with your partner, but then it doesn't happen and kind of gets like swept under the rug. Like, you can do that. It's fine. That's valid. I totally accept you doing that. But unfortunately, like, it causes me too much, like, I don't know, just anxiety, uncertainty, just like, I just can't do the, it has to just be real with me at this point. Like, my body literally can't make it, like, just make appearances to make appearances, and to just keep everything peaceful, but yeah, I've been trying so hard to control, like, I don't want to be seen as the dramatic one, or like yeah, causing drama, or I just don't want to be a hypocrite. So I'm trying to evaluate and be like, is this out of pettiness? And if it is, or it's confusing, because there can be both, I think. Like, there just was so much pressure still on myself to continue. Like, it's petty if I do this, like, because I'm upset, but I just never owned my feelings. I never allowed myself to be upset about something and then want space for it. And there's still a part of me that is like a spiteful, a bit of a like, well, I'm not gonna talk and we'll see how you like it, in a way of like, there can be a bit of a, like, for me to actually do it, I have to kind of feel some of those feelings of like, screw you wanting this from me. We'll see how, like sort of like, you think everything's just gonna be okay, and it's not. Like, here's time for you to also reflect. Like, here's time for you to also think about it. Like, so I don't know, but it's hard because I don't want to. It's just hard to be like, am I being all petty or this and that? But at the end of the day, like, I can still feel petty feelings, but it's like, I would still make the decision if there was no pettiness about it. It's just like, I don't like how I feel right now around these sort of people relationships, and it doesn't even have to have anything to do with them. Like, they're not doing, I only have power over my own self. It's just like, I'm just too sensitive right now to things, because I don't have like a solid sense of identity. So I'm just so prone to like going into that like fawn response, placating mode. And then I feel really empty when that like happens and not myself. And then I just feel like I keep losing myself. And so me being myself is like not talking to them. And I started to mention, because I wanted to make this point about the hierarchical, like an energy thing of like, I guess almost power dynamics, like maybe I've been giving off that energy of like the inferior whatever vibe, and it gets taken advantage of. Like, I'm not seen, and it's not intentional, but it's like, when I hold myself, like, I just, in the truck on the way back when I was taking my emotional space, and I could still talk and answer, but I was doing it from more of a real place of like, it can be painful, it can be hard. Like, I just didn't respond to something he had said at one point. He's like, oh, there's like a lot of Teslas here, and just trying to make small talk, and like, and I just didn't answer, and I'm like, okay, maybe he thinks that I just didn't hear him because my earbuds are in, and then he doesn't feel so sad that I didn't answer him. And that, like, I'm just so overly concerned with hurting other people just by not answering them. Like, but I felt like when I was actually being more my true self and like choosing how much I wanted to interact and engage with the conversation, and just putting my earbuds in and listening to my thing, and not anymore being like, oh, I'm so rude for this, I shouldn't be doing that. Like, just owning that shit, I started to like feel more confident and like hold myself differently and be less anxious. And I feel like when I come back and I just that's my energy, that's my groundedness, I hold myself in that way, I feel like that will also be respected. Like, when I can actually fully hold my own truth and fully stick to it, people probably won't even be gaslighting as much. Like, they'll know that and it's not intentional, but it's just like a subconscious energy thing that is just, if someone sees their own self as inferior and presents it, like, other people will kind of treat you in that way too. Like, if you don't care about yourself, for me, it's like, if I don't care about my own creative stuff or videos or like value it at all in any way, like, no one else will value it. It's just, it does make perfect sense to me now. So, but I'm gonna pee my pants. I really have to pee. This was long. But yeah, it's all part of me, like, me talking about it and just talking about my relationships and my family, and like being okay and not being like, I shouldn't have done that, that was so bad of me, I need to feel guilty and whatever. Like, that's me confidently just doing it, being like, this is my shit and nothing to feel so guilty over and not do whatever. Like, yeah, it's just part of me stepping fully into my own person and individuating as my own self. So sending all the love. Thank you for joining me on this fine day. And yeah, I don't ever know what to say to end it. I get all uncomfortable and awkward to end it. I like put pressure to like the best way to like how to address the viewers, to be like, thank you or this, or like, I don't know, but I don't know what's happening. We're ending the live stream. Bye, everybody.